Hello everyone, happy Tuesday. It's time for another episode of Tuesday Live at 5. This is Lena Gersa. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Cambridge, Ontario, Canada. Snowy, blustery, cold Cambridge, Ontario, Canada. And today I am breathing a little breath of spring despite the weather outside with the Flowering Tulips bundle by Stampin' Up! Now this bundle is one of the showcase bundles or showpiece bundles in the January to June mini catalog. It is a part of a mega suite. So there's actually two bundles. Sorry, I'm getting a bunch of notifications on my phone. I'm trying to clear them as I go here. And it's just a fantastic suite. So I'm focusing on just the one bundle, and I'm going to be showcasing some of the DSP as well today. I'm also going to be giving some sneak peeks of some new products that are coming in just a couple of weeks with the new annual catalog. So lots to share with you today. Let me pull up my video here on my iPad and see who is joining me. Oh, hi, Penny. Oh, it's cold where you are too. Yeah, it kind of feels like we're going backwards. Our cats are not at all impressed. They kind of both did a double take yesterday. I opened the front door and they were like, what the heck is this? So they were not at all amused with this weather. They're equally miserable today. Our one cat, Phoebe, is just, she's in a foul mood because of the weather. So hopefully she gets over her miserableness. We're supposed to be up to like 25 Celsius here over the weekend. So welcome to spring in Canada. But I see I've got lots more joining. We've got Sue and Violet and Jen. Hi, Connie. Hello, Minnesota. That's awesome. Thanks so much. I'm glad you like my videos. Hi, Gertie and Krista and Kathy. It's nice to see you. And Joyce, thank you for joining me, everybody. All right, so we are all about tulips today. Thankfully, my tulips are only about this far out of the ground, so they're not being frozen by this nasty snow. But my poor daffodils had just started to open up, and they are not at all happy about the state of things out there right now. Hi, Violet. All right, so I'm going to flip my camera. We are going to get to it. I'm going to show you the bundle, and I'm telling you about a little special I have happening today. I found some extra shares of this fantastic DSP, so I'm going to be doing a little giveaway. So I'll give details of that in a minute, but let me flip my camera and we will get rolling here. Hi, Pam. Oh, thanks for sharing, Pam. I really appreciate it. Okay. Well, let's do the flipperoo. Get this going. Oh, there's a cord in the way. I'm gonna have to move that. There we go. All right, that looks pretty good. We got a bit of a glare from the lights, but I think that'll be okay once we get working. All right, so Flowering Tulips bundle. It's one of those that looks a little bit intimidating. I don't know about you, but when I first saw these dies, I was like, what the heck do I do with those? I actually had to watch another demonstrator's video to figure out how to construct the tulips because it was a little bit confusing for me. And you may well be in that boat. Maybe that's why you've hesitated to order this yet, or maybe you have it and you haven't touched it because you're intimidated by these dies. So we're going to get rid of that intimidation today. I'm going to show you how to put together the 3D tulips and you'll be good to go. The nice thing about this bundle is that it allows us to do stamped tulips and 3D tulips. I love the versatility. We're going to use both today. And then it has some fantastic sentiments. And this detailed border die is just fabulous. So that is the bundle. Okay. Now, the DSP in this suite is absolutely stunning. I absolutely love it. I'm a big tulip fan. It's my favorite spring flower, pink tulip specifically, but I just love this paper. So we have these beautiful hand-painted patterns on one side, and then when we flip, we got these beautiful washes and sort of distress patterns. We've got clouds to create scenery. Just fantastic DSP. Now, as I was tidying up and getting ready for the transition to the new annual catalog, I found, including this one, 5 6x6 shares of DSP that I had left over. So this is the Tulips DSP. So there are 6 6x6 sheets in each pack. So one of each pattern in the pack. And I am going to give this away to 5 people who are watching today. So all you have to do, first of all, you have to be in Canada. I'm not allowed to send product across international borders. So I apologize if you are not in Canada. You're not eligible for this giveaway. But for those in Canada, all you have to do is comment and just let me know that you are here, and I will choose someone. Actually, I will choose 5 someones from the comments and those who are commenting throughout the video. I will comment that you are a winner, and you can send me your mailing info and I'll send you some DSP. Okay? All right. Let's get to it. It's chilly in here today, so my hands are a little numb. We'll see how we make out. Okay, so our first, oh, there's a nasty shadow there. I just noticed that. Let's see if we can, that's a little better. Okay, so our first project is this one that I posted earlier today. I love this card. This is actually one of the designs for my upcoming card buffet. So I have my first in-person event since November happening this week, and it's an all occasions card buffet, and this is going to be one of the options. So if you are coming to that event, pay attention, because you're going to get to watch me make one so that you'll know what to do when you come on Thursday. So to start, I've done most of the stamping ahead of time, just in the interest of time here. But to start, I have a piece of basic white cardstock. It's been embossed using the time-worn type embossing folder. It's a very subtle pattern, and it just gives some really subtle texture to your background. Okay, so this is a 4 by 5¼ inch piece. And then I have just a little bit of that beautiful DSP. So this is my favorite pattern. I love pink and purple tulips. They're my thing. And so this pattern, you're going to see it a couple of times today because I love it so much. So this piece is cut to 1 3/4 by 4. So 1 3/4 by 4. And then I have a piece of soft succulent cardstock that is 1 7/8 by 4. So when I layer them, you're going to see I have just a narrow little border, top and bottom. So we're going to go ahead and look at how gorgeous that wash is on the back. Oh, love this paper. All right, so we're going to just get this going. My glue doesn't even want to flow. It's so cold in here. I should have turned the space heater on before I started. The problem is then I forget to turn it off and I end up roasting. By halfway through my video, I'm dying. That's the joys of being a woman of a certain age. I know some of you can probably relate. So this is just hanging over just a touch. I'm just going to clean that edge up there. There we go. And then that is going to get glued to our embossed background piece about 3/4 inch up from the bottom. So again, we'll just add a little bit of glue here. And we're going to pop this on about 3/4 inch up from the bottom, as I said. So right about there, I'm kind of using my grid paper to help me get this straight. Okay, so whoopsie, that's not very well centered. Oh, you know what? That's got a little bit of an overhang there. There we go. Okay, then we're going to add a bit of ribbon. So this is some of the retiring Just Jade gingham. It's from the Flowers for Every Season ribbon pack. And it actually works really well with soft succulent as well. I find I use this ribbon a lot with soft succulent cardstock as well as the jade. So it's a really kind of versatile ribbon. And I'm very sad to see it go because it's been around for a couple of years and I absolutely love it. So I'm just going to layer this on. It's going on about, I don't know, 1/2 to 3/8 inch up from the bottom edge of my DSP. Okay, so that's just going to layer on there like that. Now, before we do anything else, we're going to put this onto our card base. So our card base is a soft succulent cardstock. It's 4 1/4 by 11 inches, scored in the middle at 5 1/2. So we're just going to fold that in half along our score line. Crisp it up, and then I'm going to add a little bit of adhesive. Now, word to the wise, when you are using tape, especially Seal or Seal Plus on deeply embossed cardstock like this piece is, you want to go a little bit slower as you're applying, because what can happen is, because this adhesive is so sticky, we can actually peel up the top layer of the cardstock when it's embossed. So just be careful. I am guilty of going too quickly many, many times. You've probably seen it in some of my videos, and I have to just remind myself to slow it down so that I don't tear my paper. All right, so to build our tulip, first of all, I have this beautiful stamped and die cut tulip. Now, look at that. My die wasn't very well centered, so we're going to clean that up. So when you are die cutting, sometimes we don't do the best job of lining them up. Or sometimes it shifts a little bit as we're rolling it through. All is not lost. Just take your snips and tidy up the edges, and nobody will ever know, right? Nice and tidy. So this image, now in this stamp set, I should just explain for a minute. There are sort of 2 layers. It's 2-step stamping. And so for this, I actually started with it's just a little scrap of Horizons DSP in that beautiful sort of purple wash. So I didn't feel like I needed both layers for my tulip, so I only used this layer. Okay, so I stamped this image in the Blackberry Bliss on this sort of purple patterned DSP, and I just love the result. I think it's just a nice soft look. And then I stamped the center in black. Okay, now to build my leaves and stem, these are stamped in Soft Succulent ink on Soft Succulent cardstock. So it's tone on tone, okay? And then I've die cut them using the dies. So to build our bouquet, or our flower, really, it's not a bouquet, it's a single flower, we're simply going to just kind of arrange our stem and leaves however we like. Okay, you can have your flower being taller or shorter. You can kind of adjust where on the stem you're going to glue your blossom. Okay, so our leaves and stems are going to get glued flat. So I'm just going to use a little bit of liquid glue. You do not need much. I'm just going to put a couple of little dots of glue along the stem here. You certainly could use adhesive sheets to glue these on, but I found it's pretty easy to apply the liquid glue. Okay, so my stem is flat. My leaves are going to get popped with a couple of dimensionals. Hi, Regis from St. Peter's. Welcome. Hi, Linda. Hi, Jill. Thank you for sharing. It's nice to see you. Thank you for joining me, everyone. So if you're just tuning in, I'm doing a giveaway today. I found some extra shares of the beautiful Flowering Tulips Designer Series paper. That's some of the paper that I am using on this card, actually. And so I'm giving it away to 5 people in Canada. Unfortunately, I can't mail across international borders. That's Stampin' Up policy. It's a no-no. But anyone in Canada can comment on my video, and I'm just going to choose 5 random people to send some DSP to. Okay? No purchase required. It's just my thank you to you for joining me today. Okay? So my blossom is also going to get popped. I've just added a couple of dimensionals on the back, and we are going to adhere that at the top of our stem, just like that. So simple, right? Okay, now to stamp our sentiment, this is cut using one of the die sets that is retiring that I'm going to very much miss. It's the Ornate Frames dies, and it cuts this beautiful, I don't know, it looks like just sort of a half label shape, and it is perfect for kind of doing this sort of effect where a sentiment is kind of peeking out from behind something else. So I wanted sort of a scripty Happy Mother's Day. In this stamp set, there is kind of a block font Happy Mother's Day, but I wanted something a little bit scriptier. So I'm using the Happy Mother's Day from the Celebrating You set. So this is another set that's in the mini catalog. Has tons of amazing sentiments for like every occasion. I use it, this kind of just sits on my desk and I just kind of pull from it all the time. So there's the Happy Mother's Day stamp. Now my nose is starting to run because I'm cold. Sorry guys. All right, so I'm going to ink up my Happy Mother's Day with my Soft Succulent ink. And we're going to go ahead and stamp that on our die cut label. Okay, and then we're going to glue this on. It's going to get glued flat, and I'm just going to kind of tuck it in along that edge. Now, I put my leaf over just a bit too far, so we're going to angle that a bit so we have a little bit more room and it's not covering up my words. So I'm just going to add a little bit of liquid glue here, and that's just going to allow me to tuck this in behind and just kind of have it peeking out. So just want to make sure it's straight. There we go, just like that. Okay, and then we're going to add a little bow just sort of right at the base of our tulip there. So we're going to add a glue dot. I've already tied these bows, just my standard bunny ear bow, and then I notched the ends. Now this is going to flop a little bit, so to kind of eliminate that, I'm going to add a glue dot tucked underneath, just so it's kind of glued to my stems there. There we go, and that's going to keep it from moving around. Okay, and then I have some Soft Succulent gems. These are also retiring. Even though these ink colors are not retiring, these gems are. So if you are like me and you like your bling, now is a great time to snag these. I think they're still available. I hope they are. I haven't checked recently. Actually, I don't like that. We're going to move this guy up here. There we go. That's better. Okay, and that's it. Now on the inside, I've actually got a white panel here. I stamped the Love You So Much sentiment from the Flowering Tulips set. Okay, it's this one here. And then I added just a little scrap. So often we get these narrow little strips of DSP left over when we're cutting our panels for our card fronts and whatnot. And I hate to throw them out, but sometimes it can be hard to know what to do with them. So this is a great way to decorate the inside of your card really quickly and easily, and not waste those pretty little strips. Okay, so that just kind of ties the whole card together. So just a little, little tip for you for using up those little DSP scraps. So we're going to go ahead and glue this inside. I'll stamp the sentiment later. I'm not going to take the time to do that now, but we will pop this inside and make sure that's centered. So this piece for the inside is 4 by 5 1/4 as well. Same size as my embossed panel on the front. But there it is, done and done. Super quick and easy. All right, so like I said, I love me some pink and purple tulips. So I kind of went a little overboard with the pink and purple this week. I couldn't resist making some pink, or mauve 3D tulips with the dies. So the best paper to use for making your tulips is the Horizons DSP. It has so many beautiful sort of wash patterns that are so soft, and they're just stunning. So that is, if you don't have the Horizons DSP, it's kind of like the one-stop shop for everything. It goes with everything. It's pretty darn awesome. So to start, I'm going to show you how to build these tulips, okay? And then we will put the card together. So we have loads of weird and wonderful shapes that come in this die set. So we have 3 different sort of, I don't know, they just look really like weird abstract shapes. Okay, then we have this one that's sort of like a U shape. You actually need 2 of those to build these 3 tulips, and then you need these 3 individuals. Now when you look at the dies, let me just grab them here. So this one cuts this, all right, this one cuts this, this one cuts this, all right, and then you have 1 of that U shape, so you need to cut 2 of those. But then the awesome thing is they give you 3 dies to cut these 3 pieces, so you really only have to do 2 runs through your machine, right? You can do all of these in one, and then 1 extra for this guy. Okay, that will give you enough to make all 3 tulips. Okay, so we're going to start with this one. So all of these dies, they're going to score a little bit along the edges. So what you want to do, first of all, is just kind of fold along those score lines. Okay, and as you do that, you're going to start to see your tulip form. Now, the challenge, I don't know about you, but for me, I have a very scarred bottom plate. Like, it's got so many marks in it, like you couldn't see through it if you tried. So it tends to mark up my paper. Now, not a big deal because we're going to cover that. All right, we're actually going to use one of these and one of these to build our tulip. Isn't that ingenious? I think it's quite brilliant the way Stampin' Up designed these. So we're going to go ahead and build this. So we're going to start with this layer. I'm going to put just a little bit of liquid glue on this bottom layer. And I'm going to kind of layer it inside this sort of folded piece here. And that's just going to kind of give me an idea of where I need to place it as I'm gluing this guy on. Okay, because keeping in mind this is going to close up, right? So we just want to make sure we kind of end up with something that looks like a tulip when we're done. Okay, so now I've glued those 2 layers. Now I can glue both of these inside this little piece. And using liquid glue is the way to go here. It allows you to kind of maneuver things and get them wiggled exactly where you want them before the glue sets up. Okay, so that's that piece. Now it's just a matter of closing these little flaps here and gluing them shut. So again, I'm going to add just a touch of liquid glue. You do not need a lot. And you just fold these over. And voila, there's a pretty little tulip. Isn't that magical? Love it. Okay, so that's one done. The next one we're going to do is this one. So again, I'm going to fold along that sort of scored line that is created as I die cut. Okay, I need my other U-shaped piece. It's going to slide inside here. And then again, I have one of these little guys that's going to finish off at the back. Okay, so just like I did with the last one, I'm going to open this back up. I'm going to lift this up. I'm going to put a little bit of glue here. Again, that's just for placement, so I make sure that I kind of get this exactly where I want it. I'm going to close this back up again just to make sure this is where I need it to be before the glue sets up. Yep, that looks pretty good. Okay, and then I can go ahead and glue these 2 pieces down together. I have found that is the easiest way to kind of get something that looks the way you want it. If you start just with that little guy on the back and try to build up from there, I have found that I have a hard time getting it placed exactly the way I want it. Okay, so that one's down. And then we're just going to add a titch of glue to these little flaps here. Put a little bit along the bottom as well. And we're going to fold that over. And there's our tulip. Okay, so simple. All right, so that's number 2. Okay, and then the last one is this little bud. So again, I'm going to fold along my little creases there. Okay, so it's going to go this way. And then this little guy is going to tuck in here. Okay. I know, Laura, I did not figure this out on my own either. I had to watch a couple of videos to see what people were doing with them before I could figure out how to make them work. Okay, so this is going to be my last one, my little bud here. So again, now how did I do that? Did I do it this way? I think I did. Yeah, I did. I don't know. I think I like it this way better. I think I could work either way, this one. Now that I'm looking at it, probably should go this way. It makes more sense that that's the top of our bud. But it could go either way, I think. So again, I'm going to add just a little bit of glue to this little guy in the center. If my glue wants to flow. We're going to pop that in. And I just want a little bit peeking up. Okay, I'm not going to see a whole lot of that. And then we're going to go ahead and put a bit of glue on our flaps here. And close those guys up. 1 and 2. And there's my sweet little tulip. Okay. So again, this one could kind of go either way. I kind of like it with that extra little, it looks like it's just a little petal that's about to open there. Okay. So now we are going to add just a touch of highlighting or low lighting here with our blending brush. So I'm going to bring in my fresh Frisia ink and my blending brush. And I'm going to apply just a little bit, oh, that one doesn't want to stay stuck. I'm going to apply just a little bit of ink along the bottom of each tulip. And that's just going to darken it, provide a little bit of shadow to that bottom edge, just like that. Okay, so same thing with this guy. Just add a little bit of color there. You could certainly use a darker color if you wanted to sort of do almost like an ombre look. With a darker shade of purple, the Highland Heather would work really well. And which way is this going to go? It's going to go this way. So we're going to add just a little bit here. Fill that in, and then we're good to go. Okay, so our tulips are done. Now we need to sort of build our backdrop for them. Aren't they fun to put together, Krista? I know, they really, once you figure it out, it is really fun to build them. All right, so my background on this is more of that Horizons DSP. So I know I'm giving away the Tulip DSP, but you need the Horizons DSP as well with this set. So it's this piece here. It's got this sort of beautiful, this reminded me like of a lawn or a garden, and then the sky. So that's what we're going to use to build our scene here. So I'm going to bring in my stem and leaves. I'll set these guys aside for a sec. And I'm also going to bring back my soft succulent. Okay, so the first thing that I always do when I'm building a bouquet is stamp the stems, okay, because you kind of need to make sure that your spacing is good for your stems. Otherwise, you're going to have a hard time making your blossoms all fit. So I'm going to start with my center stem. Okay, it's going to go relatively in the middle, maybe not completely in the middle, but fairly. And then I'm going to add one kind of bending off to the right. Okay, then I'm going to flip my stamp and I'm going to have a stem that will bend off to the left. Okay, this stem stamp is kind of magical. It works both ways. Okay, then we're going to add a couple of leaves. So there are 2 leaf stamp images in this set. So we have a longer one like this. And then we have a couple of shorter ones. We're going to add one this way. And again, you can flip the leaves to get a little bit different look. Okay, so there are my stems and leaves. Now I wanted them to be a little bit more substantial so that they kind of balanced my blossoms. So I decided to color in the images with my light soft succulent blends. Okay, so these are stamped in soft succulent ink. So I'm just going to bring in my light blends and I'm just going to kind of shade them and fill in the white space just to kind of give them a little bit more substance and a little bit more weight on the card so that they balance my beautiful 3D tulips here. So I'm just going to come in. I'm not really worried about shading or anything because there is shading already on the stamp image. So I don't really need to worry about, you know, trying to make sure I'm blending or shading at all. I'm just adding some color to fill in the white space. Okay, just like that. What a big difference it makes, isn't it? It just kind of adds a little extra presence to those images. All right, so now we're ready to arrange our tulips. So you can decide sort of, you know, which way you want them to go. Actually, I think I might do my bud this way just because I like it better this way. So we're going to pop those up again with some dimensionals. So I tend to use 2 on the larger ones. So I'll put 1 there and 1 up here. And then I usually just use 1 on the little guy. Ooh, that side's really pretty too on that one. So I'll kind of do that guy there. Okay, so there are, oh, did I just do that upside down? Oh, well, doesn't matter. Okay, so then we're going to add a little bit of ribbon just across the base here, just kind of cover up where my stems are overlapping there. So we're going to add this. Oh, Deb, I'm glad you made it. Oh, you're welcome, Cheryl. I hope this is helpful. It is, like those dies are a little bit intimidating. Like when I got them, I was like, oh, okay, somebody needs to show me how to use these. So yeah, I totally get it if you are finding them a little bit intimidating. All right, so we're going to layer this piece now on some soft succulent. I don't think I gave you the dimensions of this one. So this is 3 1/4 by 4 1/4. Okay, so 3 1/4 this way by 4 1/4. This is 3 3/8 by 4 3/8. So we're going to layer it just like that. We'll add a little bit of tape and stick this down right about there. Okay, and then this is going to get layered onto our card base. So our card base, just like on the last card, is a piece of soft succulent cardstock. It is 4 1/4 by 11 inches, scored in the middle at 5 1/2. So we'll fold that in half and crisp it up. And then I wanted another backdrop of this beautiful tulip DSP. So this piece is cut to 4 by 5 1/4 inches to layer on our card base. So we'll just add a bit of tape here and get that layered up. Okay, and then this piece is going to get glued centered. Now I know it's criminal to cover up this beautiful DSP, and I thought twice about it, but then I thought, no, it's just a pretty backdrop for my tulips here, so I'm okay with it. I know some people would really struggle to cover up that beautiful paper. I get it. All right, so we're going to center this guy on our card front here. Hopefully getting it straight. Okay, now here's a little tip. So I know many of you have commented that you like the way I do my bows, that it's easier to tie it. It is indeed easier to tie your bow when you're doing the bunny ears thing rather than tying it around a flat piece of paper. The only challenge is when you want it to look a little bit gathered. Okay, so normally when you tie a bow, the point where the bow is gathered. So I have a little hack for that. Because on this one, I wanted my ribbon to look a little bit gathered. So I'm just going to take a glue dot. I'm going to pick up my ribbon where I want it to gather. And then I'm just going to kind of squish it into the glue dot. Okay, so you see how the ribbon's gathered there now? Then I'm going to stick my bow over top and it looks like it's tied. Okay, magical little hack for you to still have that look of a tied bow, but not have to actually wrap your ribbon around and tie. There we go. Okay. All right. Last step is to add our sentiment. So I've already stamped and die cut this. This is again from the Flowering Tulip set. It is stamped in Evening Evergreen ink, die cut with some awesome new dies called Stylish Shapes. Now, we had stitched shapes that retired last year, and I mourned them for quite some time. So these ones almost replace stitch shapes. They are pretty awesome. There are circles and squares and banners that are all sort of have this sort of detailed stitching around the edges. So they are coming in the new annual, so you'll want to put those on your wish list for sure. Those are kind of staples in your craft room. So we're going to just tuck this in at the side here of our little bouquet of tulips. Okay, and then I had to add a little something something in the way of bling, so I added some of our brushed brass butterflies. So we're going to just grab a couple of these guys and have them fluttering in amongst our tulips. One there and one up here, just like that. Okay, and then once again on this one I did add another piece of white. This was the other half of the little scrap that I had left over that I used on the last card. So I'm not going to take the time to glue that now. You know how it's done. So there you go. There is card number 2. So let me get this stuff out of the way. Oh, I almost forgot. I did add a little winky winky to my tulips to bling them up a bit. So that is a totally optional step, but hey, why not, right? Sparkly tulips are a good thing. All right, that is card number 2. Number 3, I love, and this has got lots of sneak peek stuff. So, and number 3 is this fun shaker card that is also an easel card. So how fun would it be to have this little bottle or vase bouquet of tulips sitting on your desk? Is that not fun? So we have new products coming. There's a punch and coordinating shaker domes. This is actually a bundle that has a stamp set that goes with it as well. I'm just using the punch and these cool effervescent elements that are part of the embellishment offering in this catalog. So I'm going to show you how to do this one. Okay, so there's a couple of little tricks for this. So I'm going to show you because I wanted my stems for my tulips to be inside my bottle. So there's a couple little hacks I'm going to show you here. All right. So I've done most of the work ahead of time, again, in the interest of actually getting to eat my dinner while it's still warm. Okay, so we're going to start with, our bottle element here. Okay, so this piece is cut from the DSP. It is 2.5 by 4 inches. Okay, then I have a piece of Mossy Meadow cardstock that is 2 5/8. Yes, no, let me double check that. Yes, 2 5/8 by 4. So I'm going to layer these right now. Okay, now you may be thinking, how is she going to punch that hole for the punch? The punch will go through a layer of DSP and a layer of cardstock together. It will not go through 2 layers of cardstock. Okay, and in fact, officially, it's not officially sanctioned to even do 2 layers like a DSP and a cardstock, but it will work. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and glue this down. So we're going to center this on our DSP. I'm going to have a little border top and bottom. Okay, then I'm going to bring in my punch. So this is the bottle punch. It's a fairly large image. It's probably, 2 and a bit inches wide. And the reason that we need to have our DSP this wide is so that our bottle will fit, right? If our DSP is too narrow, the bottle won't fit, okay? So we're going to sort of center the bottle. Now, I put this in so that the edge of my, my DSP was just in from the edge of the punch, okay? So I'm going to punch right about there, okay, and that's what I end up with. Now, to attach our shaker dome, these things are double-sided adhesive. So there's an adhesive layer on this side, and there is also an adhesive layer on the back side, okay? So when we are adding our shaker dome to our DSP piece, we're going to peel off the backing just on the front side, okay? So I'm going to peel off that. Notice how there's still backing on the back. So I'm going to go ahead and just center that in my punched opening. Now there's a little bit of overhang here. That didn't happen on my sample. I punched a little bit on the low side, but I can just take and trim that off. Okay, that's not going to hurt anything. All right, so there is my opening for my bottle. Now this is where it gets a little bit tricky. So we're going to, be layering this on a piece of the Designer Series paper. So it's this pattern with that sort of washed grid pattern on the back. And this is going to get glued pretty much like 1 square and a bit up from the bottom. Okay, now here's the thing. We need to be able to put in our little effervescent elements, and we need to be able to add our stem. So I can't stick this down completely right away. I still need to have a bit of an opening to be able to get my pieces in there. So I'm going to just glue along this, the top and bottom, and the right side to start. I'm going to leave this unstuck for now, okay? Once we get all of our bits and pieces in there, then we can glue it, okay? So I'm going to put some strong adhesive here because this is going to get a little bit of wear and tear as we are putting this together. So I'm going to glue this on, again, just across that bottom grid line there. Okay, so this side, see, I can still lift it up. Okay. All right, so now I'm going to flip this over. I'm going to pour in some of my little effervescent elements. Now, before I do that, I actually forgot a step. I'm going to trim the backing off of my my bottle here on the inside. I'm going to trim it right sort of at the base of the neck of the bottle. That's because I will seal up my bottle last. Okay, so I'm just kind of trimming this here, and I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Just have to kind of loosen it to get my scissors under there. So again, I'm going to trim this bit. Okay, I'm not peeling it off yet, but eventually I need to be able to sort of separate those two sections. Okay, so those are still, the backing's still on, I haven't taken it off. All right, so now I'm going to bring in some of these magical, look at these. They are so much, they look like bubbles in a bubble bath. They're so much fun. So we are going to just take and add a couple of scoops of these little guys, and I'm pouring them right into my sort of shaker dome here. Okay, I don't want to use too many because I don't want it to be completely full. Okay, so now I'm ready to take off the backing on the bottom part of my bottle because I need to seal up my shaker almost. Okay, so this is why whoopsie, that was not supposed to happen. Let's stick that guy back down. I clearly didn't cut right through that backing. Let's stick that back on there. There we go. So I need this to seal so that I don't lose all these little beads all over. And trust me, those little turkeys run everywhere when you get them on your desk. So now I'm going to take a little bit of liquid glue and add some glue to this side of the DSP backing. Okay, so that we can seal this up. So now I'm just going to kind of close that, turn it over, and burnish. Okay, so this top portion is still not sealed. Okay, I can still slide things in there. And that's important because I want to be able to add my stems for my tulips. So we're going to get this out of the way. And I've got my stems all die cut. They're cut from Pear Pizzazz cardstock. And I'm going to trim a couple of these a little shorter. So this is like floral arranging, right? You don't always want your stems all at the same height. So now I'm just going to take and peel this up, and you can see I can kind of slide my stems in here without sort of losing any of my little elements there. So I'm just going to slide these in. We're going to secure these in a minute. But I'm just kind of sticking them in here, arranging them at the heights that I'm going to want them. Okay, and I love that I can see the stems in there. It looks like an actual vase, right? So now to stick these down, I'm just going to take a single glue dot and stick just the end of the stem. It's going to get covered with my tulip, so it doesn't really matter that we're going to see them, but that's just going to keep them from moving around. So we're going to secure those for a sec. And one more. Let's stick this guy down. Okay, so now my stems are good. Everything's where I want it. So now I'm going to peel off the rest of that backing. Remember that bit that had come off by accident that I didn't want to? We're just going to reach in there with our take your pick and peel that off and then seal it. Okay, and then my little beads are not going anywhere. They're staying put. Okay, so that allows me to arrange my stems the way I want them and still seal up my bottle and have it look nice and tidy. Okay. All right, so now we're going to add our blossoms. So I've already stamped all of these ahead of time and die cut them. I'll explain what I did. So I did tone on tone stamping. This one is stamped on So Saffron cardstock in Bumblebee ink. Okay, so Saffron cardstock, Bumblebee ink, and I did do both layers of the stamps. I will show you how to layer those stamps in just a second. And then I stamped the center, of course, in the black. This one is our new Sweet Sorbet in color. So I stamped Sweet Sorbet ink on the same shade of cardstock. And then this guy is Calypso Coral. So it's Calypso Coral ink on Calypso Coral cardstock. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and arrange those. I'm going to do the two outside blooms first. So we'll do our little bud here and our sort of partially open bloom. And the nice thing again is that I can adjust the height of these, right? So I can just kind of move them further down the stem if I need to. And then this guy's going to go in the middle. I'm just going to put actually a dimensional right smack in the middle there. And we're just going to stick that onto there, just making sure it's centered on our stem. Okay, and there's our bouquet. How easy was that, right? Okay. Next up, we are ready to adhere this to our card base. So our card base is a piece of Mossy Meadow cardstock. It's 4 1/4 by 11 inches, scored in the middle at 5 1/2, and then, actually I should turn it this way, and then I scored in the middle of that section at 2 3/4. So it's 2 3/4 and 5 1/2. So we're gonna first fold in half like we normally would on a regular old card, okay? And then that middle score line, we're gonna fold inwards to kind of create a mountain, okay? Because that's gonna form our easel, okay? All right, so now we can go ahead and glue our shaker panel on here. So really important to note, we're only going to apply adhesive to the bottom portion of this, right? We don't want to put adhesive up here, otherwise our shaker or our easel won't stand up. So I'm going to bring in some seal. I'm going to use a fair bit of glue here, just because again, it's going to get a fair bit of wear and tear as an easel card. And I'm going to center that bottom half of my panel here on my card base, and that way it will still fold up, okay? All right, isn't that fun? I love that look. All right, so that is that. We're going to stamp our sentiment. So here is another die cut from that Stylish Shapes die. So remember how I mentioned there were banners? So there's different sizes of banner dies in this one. So I like that this is nice and wide and long. So we're going to stamp, as soon as I find what I did with it, here it is, my Just Thinking of You Today stamp. Again, this is from the Flowering Tulips stamp set. We're going to stamp it in black, and I'm going to do it towards one end because I really only want to use about half of this banner. So we're going to stamp that on there. And then we're going to trim this off. Now I'm going to use my scissors. I probably should use my trimmer, but it's not close. So we're just going to eyeball it and use our scissors and pretend it's straight. Okay, and then that is going to get glued just sort of along the right edge of our card front here. So we'll just add a little bit of liquid glue and pop this on, hopefully straight. Okay, and then I wanted to add a little bit of a bow. So I'm using a little bit of our black gingham ribbon just to kind of tie in the black in the tulip. So we'll make our little bunny ear bow here. And adjust our loops until we get them the way we like them. There we go. And of course I forgot my ribbon scissors, so we're going to use our snips to trim the ends. And then that's going to go right sort of at the top of our bottle there with a glue dot. So we will just grab this and pop that on just like that. Is that not cute? So fun. What an awesome spring arrangement. Now, we're not quite done our easel card because when you have an easel card, you have to have something to catch the easel to keep it standing upright, right? Often I'll use little die cuts or whatnot, but I thought on this one, I really wanted to have more DSP showcased. So all I did is I took a piece of white cardstock. It's 4 by 4 1/4 inches, okay? And it is going to get popped up with dimensionals, and that's what's going to catch my easel. So really simple. To decorate, I've got some more of that beautiful DSP. This one is 1 1/2 by 4. So again, we're gonna just run this along the bottom edge of our panel. So I've got this is 4 1/4 by 4, okay? And we're going to glue this into our card after I trim off that little bit of overhang because that's going to bug me. Clean that up. And then we're going to add a couple of dimensionals sort of all the way around. I tend not to use too many dimensionals when I'm gluing a panel on the inside because it makes it hard to write when there's too many. So I just kind of use them in the corners so it's still, you know, fairly easy to write inside the card. And then this is going to get glued inside our card like that, okay? And then when we stand it up, our easel has something to catch it and hold it, okay? Now the last little touch again on here is a little bit of brass butterfly bling. I'll try saying that 10 times fast. Brass butterfly bling. And we'll just add a couple of these little guys fluttering along our bouquet. And there we go. Done. Wasn't that an easy card? So there's a little trick, that little trick of sort of only taking off part of the backing until you get everything just the way you want it before you seal up your shaker dome is really helpful to be able to kind of get it just so. All right, so there are our 3 projects. So we've got 1, 2, and 3. Now before you go, I'm going to show you a couple more ideas with this bundle. So here's another bouquet. Again, I'm sorry for all the pink and purple, but it's my fave. So here you go. Here's another pink and purple tulip card. Again, using some of that beautiful Flowering Tulips DSP. And then here's another one in pink and purple. And this time I've used that beautiful detailed border die cut. Super simple card, like nothing to it. But that die cut just adds an extra something, something. Here's another one with the 3D tulips in yellow. So I'm not only about pink and purple, I can do tulips in other colors. So there you go, with a little bit of gold embossing. And then this is kind of another take on this card, even simpler. So this one is great, even if you don't have the dies, you could totally do this look with just the DSP and the stamp set. Okay, so there you go. There are some fun projects with this amazing bundle. I hope this helps you to be a little less scared of those dies. Have some fun with it. Thank you so much for joining me today, everyone. And I will see you, well, after I have my dinner, I'm going to go through the comments and I will let you know who the winners of the giveaway of the DSP samples are. And thank you for joining me. Have a great week, and I will see you next week for another episode of Tuesday Live at 5. Bye for now.